Good evening, and welcome to the Way Out Show. I'm your host, Dane McCarthy, broadcasting to you from FEMA Region 5, deep in the bowels of the United Police State of Amnesia. Today is November 3rd, 2016, and we're 5 days before this historic election, and the information is absolutely an avalanche. It's a tsunami of revelations, of amazing scandals, of historic proportions, and I think, say that for me personally, this is the most important broadcast I've ever made. What we will see in the next 5 days is a revolution in the United States. It's already happening. It has been ongoing. And whoever becomes President of the United States, it will not stop. It will not be over. It will continue on all the way through the fall and into the winter, and perhaps a lot longer than that, because the American people have awakened to the lies, to the scandals, to the criminality, to such an extent that they will not go back to sleep anytime soon. That is simply not going to happen. It can't. It can't happen. Every day brings new information. And what I have to show you today is a clip from from the Hagmann report. Doug Hagmann is a Washington insider, a commentator. He's talking to Alex Jones. And what is not important is who it is who is being the messenger here. What is important is the information that these two gentlemen are sharing with the American people at this time. Now yesterday, or the day before yesterday, Steve Pesnik, who you can look him up on Wikipedia, a very, very high-level Washington insider in the intelligence community, as well as an author and a psychiatrist, and a consultant for the people at the very top, various presidential. He's worked directly since the 70s for the presidents on both sides of the aisle. And yesterday, he made an announcement to the American people. And this was only because those who are above him allowed him to make the announcement. The announcement was, and you can see this on the internet, that there has been a coup in the United States, and it's ongoing. And at the same time, there is a counter coup going on, because the plan is for the Dems, headed by Hillary Clinton, to steal and take over this country from the American people, take control by the electronic means that they have readily available to them. And the FBI, the CIA, and other intelligence agencies, and now today also the NYPD, are involved in countering this coup. And the reason why the NYPD, the New York Police Department, is involved is because of Anthony Weiner, who is a New York resident, and Huma Abedin. And it turns out, and this is in the video I'm going to show you, that the laptops that were supposedly destroyed, that were ordered to be destroyed by the very leadership at the top of the FBI back in July, that the media was told that all these information was destroyed. They were not destroyed. It was the FBI rank and file went against orders and held on to them because they felt that the information was too important to destroy, and because there's a incredible amount of information about child sex pedophilia rings and this is disgusting. No matter if the FBI and the CIA and the NYPD may be corrupt in some ways, but when their own kids could potentially be involved, and the kids of their colleagues, and just kids in general, that's where they draw a line. And so this information was not destroyed. These hard drives were not destroyed, and they are ready to disclose this information. And it's coming out. And what Hillary Clinton is doing is just steaming ahead. She has not acknowledged any of this information as being a threat so far. But right now, the Clinton campaign, Bill and Hillary Clinton, Huma Abedin, and many others involved are facing jail terms for the rest of their lives, including treason, espionage, and not to mention the pedophilia. And the pedophilia, of course, has a political purpose, just so you understand. It's not just because they're perverts and sick and demented. It is because it serves a political purpose. Pedophilia serves a political purpose, and that is for insurance. That is for blackmail. That is to keep those who you want to own in line, because you can hold that over their heads. You can hold the video because you may not think you're being filmed when you're having your way with an underage girl, but you are. And so they have this information. This is all involving Jeffrey Epstein, the convicted pedophile billionaire, with his private orgy island, with his luxury jet fitted out with bedrooms and beds for the young girls and the politicians or the bureaucrats or whomever they have going on his pleasure trip, including Bill and Hillary Clinton. This has now come out, including Huma Abedin and others. And this is still only part of it. There are other major felonies revealed, evidence of in this email cache. So you have a minimum of 650,000 emails. And this is not a repeat of what we had before. Actually, what came out before was enough to send Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton and many others to prison. Just the fact that she had her emails on a private server that's easily hackable, that is a felony for each email that's classified or top secret or even above top secret. Remember, she was Secretary of State. This is an incredibly high-level position in the U.S. government. But now you have an unbelievable amount of criminality, and this includes the Clinton Foundation, and it just gets worse and worse and worse. The level of criminality is just beyond the pale, beyond what anybody has seen before. And of course, the Clintons have been involved in criminality since the start of their rise to power back in the 80s in Arkansas, including murder. Murder is not beyond the Clintons. And this is what people are saying, why Anthony Weiner, whose laptops were seized by the FBI because of the sexting scandal. He just recently was caught sexting, sending a picture of himself, his parts to a underage girl. That alone, that's a felony right there. But that brings in the FBI. Then they took his router, his computers, cell phones, everything, and it was all there. And way more was on there than they expected to find. It was all there. Everything that they thought was erased. So they have multiple copies. They're in the hands of the NYPD, the FBI. It's all ready to go. They're sending it to WikiLeaks. And the reason they're doing that is probably to protect themselves. And because otherwise, how else are they going to get it out there? WikiLeaks is set up to get this stuff out to the public. That's what Julian Assange does. And he's risking his life every day to do it. Now, the reason that Anthony Weiner just checked himself into a sex addict clinic is partly because his lawyers want to get him out of the way and make him look like he's doing the right thing, but also to protect him, to protect his life. And from whom? Apparently from Hillary Clinton, because she has a team that will suicide people. And this is possibly the same way with Huma Abedin, because both Anthony Weiner and Huma Abedin right now are looking to get immunity so they can testify against Hillary Clinton. They know where the bodies are buried. They have the information. And then already Hillary Clinton has distanced herself from Huma Abedin, who was her closest confidant and basically was at her side for years since she was First Lady. And it has also come out that Huma Abedin, and this has been out for a while, but it's not getting a lot of play, her parents and her siblings are involved with Saudi Arabia. They're essentially spies for Saudi Arabia and for the jihadist movement. The Wahhabis who fund Al-Qaeda and ISIS, which are probably actually the same organization, just with a different name, ISIS, ISIL, whatever. But they are, so she is an agent, a secret agent, who has access to all the Secretary of State's emails and is in on her most secret conversations, in fact, living with her, going on, actually rooming with her in hotels in the same room, and a lot of speculation about whatever relationship that they might have other than, a business relationship. And so now Hillary Clinton is actually starting to distance herself from Huma Abedin and just saying she's one of her staffers. But right now Hillary Clinton is just bluff it out mode. And so we'll see what happens. But right now, the consensus seems to be is that nothing can stop Hillary Clinton from stealing the election. Apparently. That it's all set up to go and it's already happening. That the fraud is in, the major fraud is in all over the country, stealing the election right now. So probably what will happen, what it appears will happen at this moment, is that that Donald Trump will get the popular vote, but the Electoral College will vote to put Hillary Clinton in office. Remember, Hillary Clinton has been planning to be president for a very long time. The Clintons, this is part of the game plan. They've been working with their globalist masters, the owner of the planet, for decades. CFR, they're both CFR members, and Rockefellers, and the people who you don't hear their names ever in the news, who are there, and the richest, literally the richest people on the planet, not the ones we're told who are the richest people on the planet, but the ones who actually are the richest people on the planet. Not just billionaires, but trillionaires. Because Donald Trump is small potatoes financially compared to these boys, these men. And this is a small club that Donald Trump is not a part of, okay? He does not work for them. He's been an independent operator. This is why both the Democratic leadership and the Republican leadership fear, hate, and despise him. Because they are worried that they cannot control him. The best that they could come up with to try to control him was an interview he did like 10 or 11 years ago, in which he made some comments about how easy it was to, score with women, because he was a star. And any rock star, musician, or movie star could tell you the same thing. That, I mean, this is just the way it is. When a man who's, reasonably good looking reaches a certain level of celebrity, then he can basically get any woman he wants. And this is what Trump was saying. Much of these other people, these other women coming out, this is going nowhere. It doesn't. I don't think they're even true. I think they're just doing it for the money or the attention. But Bill Clinton's record is genuine, and it is not phony. It is not a swift voting effort by the Republicans against Bill Clinton. It's definitely very, very real. I think what they're attempting to do to Trump is what they call swift voting, which is where you drum up something that's not true. This was the first used against John Kerry, and he said it wasn't true, but they brought out some of his shipmates who were on a swift boat, like a PT boat, during the Vietnam War, and they said that what he was saying about his heroism was a lie. And I think they were probably right. I don't think they had any motivation to lie about that. They seem like pretty sincere guys to me. But anyway, in the media, it was called swift boating, and this is now a term that's used for when someone tries to destroy someone's credibility with phony means. So, without further ado, let's run this very important clip, which is going to give you a tremendous amount of information that is breaking today. Now, tomorrow, things are going to change. The day after that, things are going to change, right up to and beyond the election. So what I just told you could be completely false, tomorrow, because that's what we know right at the moment. Maybe somehow it will all turn around, and Hillary Clinton will be arrested, indicted, and it will all be over. So anyway, here's the latest information that we have. So roll the clip.
This is the end, whether Hillary steals it or not. The globalist dynasty is on fire. Will they start a nuclear war? Doug Hagmann of the HagmannReport.com has really been on target over the years with what's happening. So let me now go to him. He's been sitting there for 15 minutes while I was babbling to give us his intel on what's happening. Does he concur with the info we have that there is a counter coup against the globalist takeover? The latest information. Doug Hagmann, thank you for joining us, sir. Take over.
Alex, thanks for having me. Yeah, basically everything that you've come up with, my source independent of yours has said right now the mood inside justice, well, inside the FBI, not justice, inside the FBI office right now at the Hoover building is extremely tense. You've got the upper echelon of the FBI that's fighting against the rank and file members. The rank and file are just absolutely upset over what's going on. They had gone through with the New York or NYPD task force, according to my source, on the sexting aspect of the sexting investigation of Anthony Weiner. They had gone through the hard assets, including, how can I put this, and this is important to understand, they actually took not just a laptop, but they also took files off of a desktop inside the Weiner's residence, as well as physically took the router at the Weiner residence. And the reason I'm saying this is because there's much more to this than the media knows, or is being told to the media, or is being leaked out, as we've seen. They want to keep some things close to the vest. But yes, the information you're getting right now is being confirmed by my sources. Just to kind of summarize this, There is.
It's okay. We're 5 days out. I mean, as much as you can say, exactly what are they finding? Because they say it's big.
Well, yeah, there's like three different parts to this, three different moving parts to this. You've got the classified, top secret, special access programs. Those files that were on Anthony Weiner's computer without fail, that's been verified by my source. And they said that's the least of the issues. Another aspect of this is the treason espionage part of this. And I know how bad that sounds, Alex, but there's some indication that, and this is why they took the router, is that other downloads of the documents, and I'm talking about the top secret special access program documents that were in the 656,000 emails on Weiner's computer, were offloaded to yet a third party. Well, who's that third party? It could very well be Huma's relations, if you will, or it could be her associates. So you've got that aspect. And then the third, and perhaps the most disgusting aspect of this, is the sexual angle that, and I don't want to be graphic or gross here.
Well, this hasn't broke yet, but I was told, and we haven't talked before the show, I was told it ties into Lolita Express. Is that where you're about to go?
Yes, yes. And it involves Hillary Clinton, Huma Abedin, and Bill Clinton as well, with Jeffrey Epstein.
Oh, my God.
Now, this has, well, according to my sources, these files exist. They did not touch, my source did not touch, or they has no idea what's in those files, but the fact that they exist on this computer suggests some sort of overlap here. And as much as I hate to even think about this, based on my source, Hillary did in fact take part in some of the junkets on the Lolita Express, independent of and with Bill Clinton.
Blackmail.
This also involved Huma.
Well, that's what I was told about Pachenik. They say it's a major foreign penetration of everything. That's why, despite the fact our government's corrupt, she's got to be taken down, because it's total blackmail.
Exactly. And right now they're fighting for their lives, not just for relevance, but for their freedom at this point. But then I think the important thing that we found, that if I can say nothing else, is the fact that you've got a great group of individuals within NYPD, within the New York and D.C. offices of the FBI, and within some of the intelligence agencies working together. And I think
we haven't talked in months, have we? I was told a week ago, and I thought when they were listening, I thought it was weird. I was told NYPD was at the tip of the spear of this thing, and you're now saying it on air while we talk. I was told by high-level sources that NYPD was like an MVP in this.
Yeah, absolutely. Many of the higher-ranking NYPD investigators have been pushing for this, and they've been getting some resistance with the FBI. Of course, you know, traditionally the relationship between the local and federal law enforcement officials, it's never really a great relationship. But in this case, there is a group that banded together and said, look, we're not going to allow this to just be pushed under the carpet. And they're fighting justice.
That's what I heard. It's so horrible that no one could ignore it.
No, they can't. And this is why, too, and people are looking and speculating as to why the FBI just posted 4 separate files on Vince Foster. That's not just to give people information about what happened at Fort Marcy Park or with Vince Foster. This is to send a message to Comey and the people that...
Let's talk about it. This is seismic. This is historic. Wow. We'll be back with Mr. Hagmann. In the days of Ellis Island, when you came in from Italy or Germany or Japan, it didn't matter. You were kept for a couple months on the island to make sure that you didn't have excommunicable disease. Now, the Border Patrol first told us 3 years ago, it's now national news, they bring people in that have leprosy, TB, HIV, you name it, and don't even give the poor sick people treatment. They just bring them in. It's an instinct to bring the country down, is my point. They don't care. They behave in the criminology spectrum of psychopaths. And our guest, of course, HagmannReport.com, Doug Hagmann, great patriot, reporter, accredited law enforcement, private detective, you name it, great researcher, author, is breaking down stuff I hadn't even gotten to yet because it's just now breaking. But he's giving us even more intel, stuff that I got from my sources. He's now saying on air. We didn't talk before the show. about Lolita Express, pedophilia. We know about Weiner, all the weirdness he's involved in. Texting 15-year-olds. That's nothing, people. And it's a message to Hillary. Stop it. Back off. Quit. She's not quitting. It'll hurt the country, the government, everything of this has to come out. I was told weeks ago, if they make her, they're going to bring it out. So the gloves are off, and Hillary's still steaming straight forward. So as much as you can tell us, Doug Hagman, get into what your law enforcement, NYPD, FBI told you. Some of this has already come out in the press, where this is going, because it's a very dangerous game that's being played. And then Pachinik, who's a major heavy hitter, wasn't just the head of psychological warfare for the State Department. I'll just stop right there. I mean, it ran covert operations for the Army and the CIA. Super heavy hitter. I mean, he says they're going after him now. He's mentioning individuals that are being targeted now. So the war is starting, and all the little trendies don't seem to know what they're involved in here. Slitting America's throats a little bit harder than they thought it would be. Trump's way ahead in the polls. But just getting back to Weiner, why this is being brought up, what's happening with Comey. Is it a double deal? What's happening?
You know, it's interesting because my source, even before I realized what was going on with Dr. Pachinik, had mentioned that there was going to be a high-level intelligence source, a former intelligence source, bringing this out. I had no idea until I saw the videos with Dr. Pachinik, or saw your video, actually.
By the way, he said on air, but also privately, he had to get major authorization to do that.
Right, right. Well, a couple of things that I think it's very important for people to understand, too, even before getting into the Lolita Express, is the fact that, you know, the FBI agents that were tasked with destroying the laptops, the devices of Cheryl Mills, Heather Samuelson, and others back in July, subsequent to the July 5th news conference by Comey, they did not, contrary to belief and reports, did not destroy that hardware or or the data on the hardware. It remains in. This is the information I have now. That hardware that was supposed to be destroyed, that was ordered destroyed, is right now in the hands of a group of FBI agents and is being held at the FBI, and it's ready to be disclosed.
Well, that's confirmed now that the majority of the FBI is now, for the first time in their 90-year history, in rebellion because they see the clear and present danger. I mean, what percentage would you say it is? Is that accurate? And, you know, who's who in this?
Well, it's real simple. The high brass of the FBI, you're talking about the SAC, the special agents in charge, you know, at the different
field offices.
Yeah, or anyone inside the Beltway at a level higher than the department head have pretty much sold out, or at least that's the feeling of the rank and file. Comey's sitting with a stack of resignations on his desk. He's beside himself. There are people who have known.
By the way, you said that 3 months ago. I know, and you were on Coast to Coast. Since then it came out, there's a stack of resignations, just proving your point.
Yeah. Yeah, and there are people who have known Comey for years who refuse to talk to him today because of his July 5th his press conference.
His wife reportedly is thinking about leaving him.
I'm sure. I mean, believe me, I would not want to be there. I wouldn't want to be in that household. But having said all of that, you know, I'm looking at Comey too, and I, you know, having experience as an operational and informational asset with the Department of Justice and the FBI myself, I mean, I understand that things go very slowly, and there's a whole big bureaucracy there. But I'll tell you this: there are a bunch of great people in the rank and file of the FBI, the agents, the field agents, the people that
really hardworking people.
Exactly. So these are the people who are getting together and saying and working with the NYPD. And by the way, Rudy Giuliani people better be looking at him really close and listening to what he's saying, because he's behind. Well, he's responsible, I would say, for a lot of this information coming from the NYPD segment of this group of patriots that we see forming and pushing back against the sold-out political hacks within the intelligence agencies. So
yeah, I was talking to a top Secret Service agent, former Secret Service. He said a few months ago, he said, "Watch what the NYPD does." I didn't know what he was talking about.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. There, of course, there's politicalization within the NYPD as well. However, they're less likely because they're not as centralized. They're less likely to be overtaken. The task force that was sent out against Weiner, who, by the way, just checked himself in. I didn't hear earlier your program. I was traveling. Weiner just checked himself into a sexual rehab clinic.
I saw that.
Yeah, that's on the advice of his counsel, and
that's just a cover to get him out of the way.
Exactly. Although, you know, people can get to him there just as easy, if not easier, than elsewhere. But my sources are.
You're saying that's being done for his own safety right now.
For his own safety, and also as a legal maneuver. You've got Huma versus.
No, but I agree. But some of my other sources said Huma and Weiner, boy, they better be watching out. Because Hillary might put the touch on them.
Well, you saw what happened. I mean, in the drop of a dime, you had Hillary Clinton suddenly just push Huma away, refer to Huma as one of her staffers, and I mean that relationship changed on a dime.
So she's gone from being her girlfriend to boom.
Well, exactly. But the backstory there is, Weiner has a lot of the information, and I do believe, and this is based again on the sources, my source, and one in particular that I have, that Weiner is in fact, that they're afraid of what he's got, and they're afraid of him being this loose cannon.
Is it true that his file was called insurance?
You know, I asked that question, and I can't get a definitive answer on that. I've seen that rumored, bandied about, and I saw another one that said, you know, XXX or sex or whatever. The file or folder names, no one's saying anything, which kind of leads me to believe that that's not 100% true. However, the information behind it is. And I think that's kind of a way to vet who's saying what to who. And it's a good, I've seen it done in the past, and it's a good way to clear things up. So, or a good way to identify where the leaks are. So,
sure, absolutely. Well, other intel you've got, 10 other points you want to make to the listeners and the viewers out there.
5 days, next 5 days, next 6 days, the most dangerous period in American history in recent memory. That's number one. Number two, we are being set up for a constitutional crisis, regardless of who wins. If Hillary wins, the investigations and potential indictment follow her. If Trump wins, the other side, the Hillary side, including Podesta and everyone around her, are going to question the legitimacy of the elections. So we are facing a constitutional crisis, regardless of who wins. Watch from the date of election until the date of inauguration, another dangerous period, and also potentially giving a reason for Obama to, and this, I never thought this was possible, but to delay the elections, which, yes, this could happen in the case of a false flag war, or if Hillary would win and an indictment passed down, he could say, wait a minute, we're going to delay the elections. And that has a lot to do, and as crazy as it sounds, it has a lot to do with the with the intent. I'll just leave it at this, with the intent of the globalists. We've talked about this before, that they're still pushing for social, societal chaos.
Well, let's get into it, because you were the first guy ringing the alarm bells more than 5 years ago about a project with Soros, race war. Now, I believed you because you're a credible guy, but now it's all happened. It kind of fell on its face, though, because everybody woke up to it. But they have now, like, tripled the amount of money. Usually it was like $100 million a year they were spending. Now it's like $300 million a month. I mean, they are quadrupling, whatever the number is. They are just going crazy, with hundreds of millions every few months being given. Ford Foundation, Soros, to saying cops are the problem, kill the cops, burn everything down. I mean, clearly that's part of their larger plan.
Yeah, exactly. And that's going to be their plan until it succeeds, or until it's completely exposed. I mean, the objectives don't change, the plans do, the timing does change. So, you know, I stand by what I said 5 years ago, 4 years ago, and 3 years ago. The plans change, the objectives don't. And this is, we're facing such a critical time in history right now.
Sure, they got a handful of cards. They change which ones they're going to play, but it's the same cards. How is it going for Team New World Order? It seems like they're getting their ass kicked.
Yeah, well, that's a great way to put it. I think they are. But I think that in the end, they hold all the cards. You know, it's kind of like playing against the house. The house always wins. We're playing against a dealer within the house, or playing the poker game. There's the house take. The house always wins in the end. You've got war that's possible. War with, look at what's going on with Syria, and look in the South China Sea as well. I do believe that there's an issue, and very interesting too, Alex. The blame game against Russia is not just because of the emails, but this is also to demonize Russia with the American people because of Syria, which all comes down to not just the gun running and such, but the pipeline between Iran and Qatar. And this is where Huma Abedin, her Saudi connections, come into play as well. So this is like a three-dimensional chess game, and people really have to understand not just any one small part of this, but the entirety of the picture.
A whole bunch of different agendas and a bunch of special interests, and Hillary, who just loves money and steals furniture and everything. She's just a crazy crook who'll do whatever she's told. She's kind of the front person for this whole mental illness. I want to take some phone calls from Martin and Andrew and Matthew and John and Steve and others. Doug Hagmann of HagmannReport.com is joining us. I'm Alex Jones with Infowars.com. But I've been asking the questions here. You've had amazing information. What else is on your radar screen? What else do you want to tell people?
Well, I would pray and prepare, I guess, first and foremost. But again, I would watch the next couple of days or next several days until the election and then until the inauguration, different potentialities there. And even if Hillary wins, I'd watch that. But specifically, false flags with respect to domestic violence. We saw some really horrible things, executions against police officers overnight. Watch for more of that. Watch for anything that would give the established. Oh, you know what, Alex, I forgot to mention this. I wrote myself a note here. I'm going to just go back to information I had earlier. The files that were on reportedly on Weiner's laptop include names of some Republicans within the Gang of Eight.
So it's, this is a larger blackmail op. Bring this into an investigation. Because what I was told is Hillary actually activated this to cover Comey's butt, but do a larger threat. And I guess, is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, I mean, you've got Republicans and Democrats or progressives and conservatives alike involved in the sexual component to this, as well as the Clinton Foundation, which is front and center for the money laundering of the sex. So you've got, I mean, again, this is so complex. However,
that's what Pachinik says. It's a major intelligence operation to corrupt people.
Oh, yeah, yeah. But what the NYPD, God bless those men and women, what the NYPD, the task force headed by the NYPD going after Weiner's laptop and the devices there, what they saw, they realized what they had. And by the way, they gave Comey, they gave the FBI 2 weeks to go through this, and it was actually 3 weeks.
That's what I was told. If they don't, it's a press conference. Exactly. So is Comey good or bad or in between, or what's happening with him?
Man, I'll tell you what, I don't know. You've got, it depends on who I talk to at the Bureau. Look, I don't know. I mean, some people say, well, he's a good guy, give him a break. He's under pressure. But to me, I think he really, no, he's sold out. I believe he's sold out.
Sure, wouldn't he have not gone after Hillary, though, if it wasn't green-lighted by Obama?
Yes. I mean, look, if they wanted to take down Hillary, they could have, with the information that they got back in April, through April to June. They could have taken her down. They could have taken Abedin down. They could have taken others down. Look, the sexting of Weiner, just as an example, according to my NYPD source, this guy's been doing this since 2010. They knew about, the Hillary camp knew about Weiner since 2010, not 11, but 2010.
Sure, so I know you can't go too far, but just how, because who knows, we'll be on the air tomorrow. We're 5 days out. The world's crazy. What did NYPD tell you? What's on there? Because what I was told was, and I've seen it hinted by intelligence people, that it's Lolita Express, it's kids.
Well, yes, it's kids. It involves the Saudis. It involves, it involves the Saudis. It involves people from the Middle East. Very big money interest from the Middle East.
Well, we know Clinton was flying out with his top sheik that's a pedophile.
Yeah, yeah, and it involves Hillary, Huma, and to a lesser extent, Weiner was just kind of a prop, if you will, and that's probably a good, an apt description for him. But yeah, this is sick.
Are you saying Weiner is it kind of a pimp?
Weiner is. My source told me that Weiner does not have a whole lot of smarts. All right, he might have some street smarts, but he's got this insatiable sex drive.
That's what he's kind of like Bill. That's who she chose. He's a cutout as her front.
Right, yeah, and yeah, he gives her cover. I mean, Huma is a Muslim, of course, living with her mother and sister are living with her right now in their New York apartment, according to the information I have, and that's another thing too. The sharing of information between Huma from Weiner's computer through Huma to the mother. Saleh Abedin, who runs the Journal of Muslim Minority Affairs, Muslim Sisterhood and such, as well as the sister. So there's the espionage component there. There's the sexual component with Weiner via getting children for Bill Epstein and even Huma and Hillary.
Wow.
Okay.
Well, I've been interviewing you for like 14 years, Doug. Never heard anything this hardcore. You're always accurate. This is mind-blowing. We're gonna...
All right, so that's the clip. You can hear more of the interview with Doug Hagmann and Alex Jones, and there's a lot more out there, of course. Besides that, I think it's important for people to know that this information is very new, but very soon it will be old news, just like all news. It changes every day. What we're seeing is breaking news stories and revelations going public and getting attention on a daily or even an hourly or almost a minute-by-minute basis. So it's tremendous changes what we're seeing right now. Many people are understanding what's going on and has gone on for a long time in the U.S. government. The level of corruption in the U.S. government is finally coming out into the open, and it is absolutely horrific, beyond what anyone would have expected. And when Donald Trump says we need to drain the swamp, he is not kidding. And we have to give him credit for actually being brave enough to come forward to take the heat for this, to sort of lead the charge against this level, this amazing level of corruption in government, and the very highest levels of government. He really didn't need to do this. He certainly didn't need the money. He's 73 or 74 years old, well past retirement age for most Americans, but it's incredible the energy that he has exhibited throughout this entire campaign. Where we see Hillary Clinton almost unable to continue on several occasions, absolutely, getting really sick. People have been speculating about the level of her illness, whether it's a serious disease or... She claimed to have pneumonia at one point during the election, and then just made this dramatic recovery, and we haven't heard anything about the pneumonia. Again, that was probably a lie. I mean, people don't recover from pneumonia that quickly. How could you say you have pneumonia and then the very next day you're fine? And what it is a chronic disease that she's being treated for, and she's resting a lot. She's coming out and doing her rallies. She's giving her speeches, avoiding the press whenever possible, hoping to just ride out this firestorm and then step into the White House. Because her plans are made, her people are in place to take control, to steal the election. The electoral votes are there. They're ready. The electors are ready and waiting to trigger whatever is necessary, whatever is required to get her to where she wants to be in that White House. And, you know, the thing about it is, even if she does become president, she is looking at an indictment. So even if she actually, I really doubt if she will serve. Even if the Electoral College says that she is president, how could she possibly serve? Is that even legal? No one who's been indicted can serve as president. This has to be the law. It goes without saying, it's obvious. And all she can hope is that some major event will happen that is so mind-numbing to the American people that they will forget the charges, forget the scandals, forget Bill Clinton's proclivity to have sex with young girls, and all the other crimes that could put her in jail for the rest of her life, and many of her cronies as well, and many, many other people in Washington. Because Washington, of course, is notorious for these proclivities to have perverted sex, you know, whether it would be prostitutes or kids, male and female both. This is something that, you know, is endemic and has been that way for a very, very long time in Washington, D.C. And part of it, I have to explain to people, is because those who control these elected and appointed representatives and judges, senators, congressmen, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, they want those type of people in these positions of power because they're easy to control. If you have the goods on someone that would send them to jail, you are going to use what the Russians call a honey trap to get them in that position. You can maneuver them, you can manipulate them, you control them, you can shut them down whenever you want to. They're gone. If they do the wrong thing or say the wrong thing, they're gone immediately. Gone. Just gone. In jail, resigned, fired, whatever it takes. And then you have your people to do the next step, to take the next step if that doesn't work. And that would be the suicide, or what they used to call in Arkansas, the Arkanside, where someone shoots himself in the back of the head twice. And then, you know, the cops say it was a suicide. You know, that happens over and over and over. Or their plane blows up for some unexplained reason. One of the most egregious crimes against the American people in recent years, in my mind, is the death of Joseph Kennedy Jr., which was clearly a murder, an assassination, because he was just about ready to declare himself that he was going to run for office as a senator from New York. And he would have been in direct competition with Hillary Clinton, and George W. Bush may also have, or I should say the Bush family, may also have been threatened, because the Bushes and the Kennedys have bad blood between them. And the Bushes are really afraid of the Kennedys. And no politician would have been more formidable if he had lived than the son of John Fitzgerald Kennedy. That goes without saying. The man was brilliant, he was handsome, he had charisma, his record was clean, and he had to go down, and they took him down. And that was a sad day for America when that happened. You know, instead we have someone, you know, like Trump. Trump, you know, who's a master in another way, in a lot of other ways. A lot of experts have analyzed his methodology. He is not insane. He is not stupid. He is not a psychopath. He is not narcissistic. He is extremely clever, extremely brilliant, knows how to handle the media. Some pundits have said that there has not been any politician in recent memory who knows how to deal with the media and handle PR and public relations and just get the spotlight on the topic that he wants to discuss better. You know, he was absolutely brilliant. Remember, he was the last man standing out of 16 Republican candidates during the primaries. Last man standing. Blew all of them out of the water. Now, the only way Hillary Clinton was able to snag the nomination or the candidacy in the primaries was to rig it, was to get the DNC behind her and steal the election from Bernie Sanders, who had amassed a tremendous amount of support. And now he is, you know, actually stumping for her. But most of his supporters were not fooled. They know. It's so obvious. A lot of people like Hillary Clinton, you know, they're still kind of stuck in the 90s. They don't understand the power of the internet. They don't understand Facebook and tweeting. They really don't understand how the young kids today are absolutely uninterested, for the most part, in the mainstream media, whether it be newspapers or radio or television. They're on the internet. They're tweeting. They're using social networks among themselves, LinkedIn and everything. All these things that most of these older people, they're not very comfortable with, but the young people are. You know, some of it is a little bit sad, the reliance of the young people on comedians to get their news. But in a way, there is a tradition in America for relying on comedy because it's satire. Satire can be extremely powerful. And it will point you in the right direction. It will make you think. And a lot of it, the satire, is based on true events. And you can skew it any way you want. Whatever your proclivity is, whether you're Democrat or Republican, as a comedian, you can make the other guy look pretty bad if you want. But oftentimes, the comedians look at both of the candidates and they find ways to skewer both of them. I mean, even in the Saturday Night Live skit I think they were riffing on the second debate between Trump and Hillary. They skewered her as well. It wasn't just Trump. So it was quite funny for both of them. So what we got to do is just keep focused and keep aware, get out there and vote for the candidate of your choice, whoever that might be. And, you know, and know that we are attempting, many people around this country are attempting to hold on to what we have left of our republic and maybe to clean house and, you know, get people out who are against the continuation of the American democracy experiment, which is over 200 years old, 240 years old now, the oldest democracy, republic, continuous constitution in the world. And this is quite amazing. Most of the history of the planet, you had dictators or monarchs running roughshod over their own people, you know, killing whoever, jailing whoever they wanted without any consequences to them, no accountability whatsoever. This is the way the world has worked all for the history of civilization. This is the history of the human race we're talking about here. So you had some very enlightened people who created this country as an idea, as an experiment to see if it could work. And Ben Franklin very very succinctly was asked after the Constitutional Convention, well, what do we have? Someone asked. And he said, we have a republic if you can keep it. And right now we're at that point where we can either keep it or we can lose it, where we've already lost a lot of it. But it's not too late. We can get it back, and we just have to let them know. Much of what we have to do is let those in power know that we know what they're up to, and they will back off. It's amazing to me that the NYPD, the intelligence services, are doing the right thing. They've so often not done the right thing, and they seem. But there is a war going on, a mutiny going on in the FBI right now. The rank and file, as you saw in the clip, have the information. They are holding their leadership, including Comey. They're holding their feet to the fire. I thought it was interesting that Alex Jones mentioned that Comey's wife threatened to leave him and may still leave him. And this is the amazing kind of thing that happens in history, you know, where the wife actually has the leverage over the guy who's not doing the right thing, who's sold out to the globalists. And she's saying, you can't do this. And this influences him. And this is a guy, he is right in the crosshairs of history. And his decisions can be what it comes down to that dictates the future of this country. So it's really an amazing moment. These peak moments don't come that often. So that's why it's so amazing and why this is an important broadcast for me, and we'll see how it all turns out. So sleep well and have a great weekend, friends.